Two particular announcements that have been made. Obviously, one from Phase 4 that's been already announced, and that is Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. It's actually Shang-Chi and the Secret of the Ten Rings, if I remember. That's the name of the movie, I think, that's coming out. And we also have another character that's been cast. I'm not sure I don't know what they're doing necessarily with her as of yet. But we do have a casting announcement for Monica Rambeau. Now, if you don't remember Monica Rambeau, if you've seen all of the MCU movies, you've already seen Monica Rambeau. Not in the way that a lot of comic fans wanted to see her, but that's the way they portrayed her. So she was in Captain Marvel. She was a little girl in Captain Marvel, daughter to Maria Rambeau. So a lot of people did not necessarily like that. And comic fans didn't really necessarily like that aspect of it because she was never like looked up to Captain Marvel like that. That wasn't her character or whatever. But they're doing something with this character. I believe she's either going to get her own movie or her own show. I think she's going to get her own show on Disney Plus. I would have to look that up again. I don't necessarily remember, but there's some importance here. There's some importance here, and I'm not sure when the video that the Movie Monday video is going to come out on race bending, gender bending, and all of that stuff. But one of the main things that we talked about was that instead of taking Ariel, making her black, instead of taking Valkyrie and making her black, instead of taking Heimdall making her black and making him black. My bad.
You switched the race and the gender.
And making him black or whatever. You can actually take characters who are already black, and it's like I mentioned earlier on in the show, you take characters that are already black and you give them the spotlight. And some people might say like, well, it's because it's popularity and stuff. They're not as popular as, say, Iron Man or Thor or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, well, you know what you do? You take the characters and you make them popular. Who the hell knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy was? Outside of comic fans, who knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before that movie came out?
Honestly, when I first saw, the movie was coming out, I was just like, ugh. Because I remember, Rocket Raccoon with the, astronaut helmet on and all that, and I'm like, what the and Star-Lord in his all Patriot type suit, with the weird army looking mask, and I was just like, no. And then of course it happens to be one of my favorite teams now. So,
exactly, it is a household name now.
Yes.
People see Chris Pratt in other movies, and they still call him Star-Lord, because they made these characters iconic. They made these characters popular. People know who they are now. People want to go out and actually, and see what they're like in the comics. They're nothing like they are in the comics. I'm sorry, but
because for example, Groot, wasn't Groot supposed to be a villain or something at first?
That I don't remember.
Because I know it was some weird. And I wish we would have talked about this before, but it was he was this weird look. He looked like a weird hollowed out tree or something.
Yeah.
In his first series, and now he's this adorable, loving potted tree that grows up into oh yeah, I can relate. He's a teenager. Somebody needs to whip his ass.
Exactly. Exactly. I know Hakeem wanted to. But yeah, I'm just that. That was one of the main things. They taking characters that aren't popular and you make them popular. You make them awesome. And people will gravitate towards them. Now, granted, not every show on Netflix was a hit, but who knew who Jessica Jones was? I barely knew who Jessica Jones was. I knew who Iron Fist was. I knew who Daredevil was, but Luke Cage and these weren't household names. And because they came out with these shows and they made them good, except for Iron Fist. First season, second season was better. I would say the second season was better, but they came out with these shows, they made them good, and for the most part, and they made them like household names. People wanted to see people wanted to see season 2. People wanted to see a season 3. People are upset that these shows are ending now.
Yeah, like people are like begging us, like if you take everyone, just leave us Daredevil, like, leave us Punisher, like give us something.
Exactly, man. So I'm just like, you can make it. It's not about like if you like you can't use the excuse like about popularity. Like you can't use that excuse because you can do these characters very you could do them justice, and they could be like in their own series or movies, and they can actually be really good characters, and people will gravitate towards them. And one of the characters I mentioned, I don't have a picture here, but I'll put it in post. But one of the characters I mentioned, and when we were talking about race and gender bending, if you want to create an all new character, Agent May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's an whole new character, never been in comics before that series came out, and people love her. People love her. She is a badass in that series. So I'm like, yeah, you can do stuff like this. So like, it's great that they are taking these, lesser known characters. That's one, but also taking lesser known characters that are from, different race, different genders, and making them, giving them their time in the spotlight, which is what they should do. That's what they should do. This is how you do it. This is proper representation. This is proper inclusion. You don't have to change somebody. You don't have to make Mary Jane black, even though her name's not Mary Jane. I hate that they call her MJ.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm just like, her name's Melissa. Stop calling her that. So, like she can, guess what? She could just be Melissa, So I feel like that is one of the best things that they could have possibly done and I think they need to do more of it. They needed to do more of it. That's one of the reasons why I said like you should explore Lady Sith more, not female Thor, like especially like now that we know the backstory behind female Thor. It was like that's dark. Yeah. You're not gonna do. I don't think they're gonna do that in a Thor movie because now we got stupid Thor now. So what it is. But I'm saying like this is important because this is the avenue that Hollywood needs to be going down, and this is where the movies and this is where the movie industry needs to go. We need to take new stories and new characters and characters that aren't haven't been in the spotlight before. People don't know about them. People don't like. I would guarantee you a lot of people do not know who Maria Rambeau is. A lot of people, like, I barely knew who Shang-Chi was. I knew them by name, and it's the same thing with Jessica Jones. I barely knew who they were. I knew who they were by name, but that was it. That was as far as I went. So to take these characters and make and bring them to the forefront, that's what you should be doing. Don't take another character. Don't just make this other character black for the sake of them being black. Don't do that. Just like that's not proper inclusion. And in fact, in certain cases, like The Little Mermaid, you're actually excluding somebody. It's not like you're actually. Was that? A little bit. Actually, no, they couldn't see me. Yeah, couldn't see me behind the computer. But yeah, I was pointing at Jojo. Yes, but I'm like, yeah, you're actually excluding somebody because you're.
Wait a minute, I'm not black. Bro, this was an all-black cast. Oh my god, my mind is blown.
Dang, you learn something new every day. That's one of the issues I had with that's going on right now, and a lot of people are upset, and it's justifiable. I'm sorry, but it just is. They made Aqualad. He is now in Young Justice. He is now gay. He was straight for 2 seasons, and then the 3rd season he's gay, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, and I was asking Hakeem, I was like, well, was there like this, was this like coming out thing, like was there something? Are they going to like dig in and say like, oh well, he's had these repressed, emotions and feelings this whole time? Like, no, he's just gay, and I'm like, all right, so. I'm sorry, that's lazy. That's lazy, and that's almost insulting. That's almost insulting. I'm just like, you know, and like some people actually do think it's insulting, but I'm like, that's almost insulting. I'm like, look, if Aqualad was written gay from season 1, fine. You know what I'm saying? Fine. You know, and if you wanted to have a story and explore that, even if like, okay, if you're going to have him gay in the 3rd season, you better have a damn good explanation as to why he was so in love with Tula in the 1st season. Yeah. Don't be lazy about it. Don't sit there and just like, oh, well, he's gay now. I don't know. You know, it's just like, don't do that. That's lazy. Like I said, that's insulting, man. I'm like, I you know, like there was a time when I was like, certain things when I would see it, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it or whatever, but it's just over time, like in the sheer number of it starting to happen, and I hate the excuse like, oh, it's just a fictional character or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but y'all were mad as hell when Scarlett Johansson was cast in Ghost in the Shell, mad as hell, and I'm like, okay. What happened to just a fictional character then? You know,
who was it in that other one? Was it Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise with the one where it was like the Great Wall of China?
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and they were like, "Yo,
no, actually, Matt Damon, I believe."
Matt Damon. Yeah, that's right.
And they were mad as hell about that.
Yeah,
like everybody else is of Oriental descent, but Matt Damon. Like, how the hell you got one little? Hey, it's just fictional character.
Exactly. I'm just like, so I feel like this is a step in the right direction. Like I said, I don't know when the race bending and gender bending video is going to come out. I've decided to postpone that due to for sensitivity reasons, because you know we just had like that shooting in Texas, or that couple of shootings in Texas and stuff. And,
yeah, it was like Texas and Chicago, and like I think we've had 3 or 4 within the past 2 days.
Yeah,
and it's just
so like the hate crime and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm not backing down on anything I said in that video. I stand by everything I said, but it's still like sensitivity reasons. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna postpone that for a little while. I don't know whether that's going to come out before or after this, but like I said, I feel like this is a step in the right direction. This is where Hollywood needs to go. They need to start bringing in these characters that, like, hey, you want non-white characters? Fine. Let's bring some non-white characters in. You want non-male characters? Fine. Let's bring some non-male characters in. It's like, okay, let's do this is what you do. There's plenty of these characters out there. There's thousands upon thousands of stories and characters that have not come to the surface yet. Use them. You have no excuse. Especially after, like I said, especially after Guardians of the Galaxy. You have no excuse. No excuse whatsoever. So do right. And I feel like if you're black, if you're gay, if you're, a woman or whatever, demand better. Don't settle for, the table scraps. Sorry, I'm calling it like it is. I don't settle for table scraps. I know it's a fictional character. I know that, but it's like, still, like, hey, look, so it's not Batman. I'm like, okay, hey, Batman's not Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I do want to say, because at the end of the day, these movies are coming out for a younger generation.
Right.
And if you take a character that wasn't, let's say, black originally, and it comes out and, you see a black kid or, boy or girl, and they look up to that character, and you see, other, the kids or, people that say, well, they weren't originally black anyway. And then you just, crush the kids' hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
And like, no, that's not right. No.
Exactly. Exactly.